So good.
Lancaster!
Welcome, goodies.
That's you.
I'm Jason Mundock, and this is So Good Lancaster. The first Lancaster Fringe Fest is right around the corner.
Finally.
What is a Fringe Festival?
It's a performing arts festival in non-traditional spaces. So animating your town with all kinds of different artistic expression, pushing genre, pushing message, pushing voices, all kind of on the potential edge, but representing the community.
That sounds great.
That's Caleb, by the way. He's one of the founders of the Lancaster Fringe Fest. And this is Frith, another founder.
So we have dance troupes, we have clowns, there's some dream analysis, there's one-woman shows, there's comedy, poetry, spoken word, historical interpretation, pretty much anything you could think of. We've even gotten some textile artists and visual artists involved.
So it turns out that the Lancaster Fringe Fest has been in planning for quite a while. The festival has taken shape through conversations and meetups and public forums and even sample events at local venues. Have you heard of Fringe festivals? There's a big one in Philly, and even our neighbors in York and Harrisburg put on their own annual versions. But where did it all start, and how have the stars aligned to finally get one here in Lancaster? Well, we're going to get into all of that with Caleb and Frith, but first, when's it going down?
May 21st to the 24th, and it will be Thursday and Friday evening, and then picking up to have kind of a full day on Saturday, and then some acts on Sunday afternoon with an after party.
Today on the program, we're digging into the first Lancaster Fringe Fest, and our So Good music feature is a song by Lancaster artist Dean Thomas. Stay tuned to the end of the episode to hear Good Ghost Goodbye. That's Dean's latest release. So Good Lancaster is powered by the Candy Factory, also known as TCF, a co-working and social club in downtown Lancaster, Pennsylvania. ClubTCF.com.
Check it out.
It's time. This is So Good.
So good.
So Good Lancaster.
Tell me what this is going to look like. What's the experience that you're setting up here for the first Lancaster Fringe Fest?
So initially we were picturing something that would engage the entire city, and we wanted to go out into all of the neighborhoods, and so we wanted to be very inclusive. So our first goal was we want to include everybody.
This is Caleb.
I'm Caleb Corkery. I am one of the founders and the treasurer of Lancaster Fringe Festival. Then we became more practical and realized, well, we need to establish ourselves, and we need to create a critical mass around this and an immersive experience. So we are focusing on downtown. We have about 20 venues downtown that will allow for people to come in and out of the experience of going inside places and then being on the sidewalks and seeing this demonstration of art all around them.
What exactly is it that you're presenting?
So it's anything and everything.
This is Frith.
My name is Frith Rooney. I am one of the co-founders and the president of the first Lancaster Fringe Fest. We put out a call for creators in the fall, and we're very intentional about trying to invite in all different kinds of creative crafts and arts. And the community heard the call, and so we have dance troupes, we have clowns, there's some dream analysis, there's one-woman shows, there's comedy, poetry, spoken word, historical interpretation, pretty much anything you could think of. We've even gotten some textile artists and visual artists involved.
We are really excited about the range and how much we are representing this community. So there are so many different interesting artists that are among us and in the region who have responded and are eager to show what they have.
How many acts are we talking about here?
There are about 40 independent acts that are being kind of planted in our partner venues. But we put out a second call for creators to fill the streets because our vision is really to animate the city and kind of have that activity going on, not just in places where people are consuming art and performances, but kind of on the in-betweens as well.
So the vision is that those 40 productions or those artists would be engaged inside the venues. But then outside of those venues, we would have sort of indicating where the action is on the street and in the sidewalks to kind of direct people toward the action.
Yeah, so we have about 15 proposals so far for street artists, and that call is out until March 20th. But there is some fire eating, some juggling, some musicians.
A lot of music.
So, yeah, we're seeing an explosion of creativity. It's been really cool to watch people come out and participate.
One thing to keep in mind is that the productions that are inside the venues, we're looking for performances that have some kind of storytelling element to them. So that's very wide open, but there's still some experience that you're entering into that has some narrative form to it. The street performances really could be anything, and it's just really fun artistic expression, however it can manifest.
Is there a theme that informs the entire festival? Do you have an overarching theme?
Some kind of storytelling element, but with that storytelling that it reinforces human connection, which is sort of the purpose of art anyway. So,
right. Are we telling a story? Is it inspiring human connection in some way? And that connection could be as simple as you have a creator who's telling a story that's being received and transforming or changing or influencing an audience member in some way.
For folks who want to attend something like this, is there a ticket, a wristband? Like how does that work logistically?
A big thing for us is accessibility. So we've tried to do that in terms of the creators, but in terms of an audience, that means $10 wristbands get you access to all of our indoor spaces, any act in the festival, and each event or act is pay what you decide. So we encourage and invite audiences to weigh what the experience was, to their taste, to their budget, and then they can decide what to pay for their ticket for that act within the festival.
So it's very much of a community expression. So these acts, we want people to have access to what we're putting together. But we also think that the experience should produce a connection to these artists and to the experience enough that people will recognize that maybe they have a role in furthering this effort by giving those artists, more credit and more support.
And a part of it, too, is helping to facilitate that relationship between audiences and creators, and maybe kind of making it a little more direct, because we live in this world where there's these giant media companies and there's not much of a relationship between the creators and the audiences. But with this model, they get to kind of contribute directly to the artist and have that reciprocity.
That's also part of the artistic design, because we're bringing the artistic expression into the community. So the artists are using the community to further their storytelling, as opposed to just a stage and then there's the audience. There's this immersion that we're after that also goes with this model of paying what you feel is a part of that experience.
Well, and it's also a lot of new works as well. So we want to keep it accessible in the sense that we're asking a lot in some ways. People have tight budgets. If they're going out to an event, they want to have some level of expectation. And so we are trying to flip the script a little bit and invite folks in and then let them decide afterward what the experience was worth. So maybe you can take a risk and find something cool. And all of this street art will be public and accessible as well. So to kind of tease the audience a little bit, give them a sense of if they get the $10 wristband, they could explore even more.
I see.
Some of the street artists might be previews of the other acts, in other words.
If you have workplace flexibility and can work from anywhere, you probably know how lonely it can get working all day, every day in the same building where you sleep, i.e. your house. TCF Co-working and Social Club in Lancaster is the solution. Get out of the house, work around other humans in real life, and get social with a ton of clubs, activities, and events. TCF offers community, full-time, and private office memberships and day passes if you're just passing through town. Check out clubtcf.com, book a tour, and get plugged in. So what was the genesis of this idea here in Lancaster?
I think there's been a lot of interest in doing a Fringe here, but the initiative hasn't really taken form just because of how much work it does take to get started. I had the experience of going to a bunch of Fringe festivals and just really being inspired and excited about the potential and thinking how well it suited our town. And so I applied for leave from my job to a sabbatical to lead that initiative. And I went to Creative Works and I asked, would you guys partner with me? And Frith said yes.
Well, I was very excited because I attended some Fringe events. I had acted in a Fringe festival event years ago, but I didn't really know the full scope of it. I just thought it was a cool idea, and then we started digging into it. And I learned that the first Fringe was 75 years ago in Edinburgh in 1947, and it just kind of spread slowly around the world as an idea. It's not a centralized organization. It just, people decide to do Fringes in their cities. And they all look a little different. Initially, we were looking for a template to kind of model off of, but we just realized pretty quickly we had to look at Lancaster and look back to the city and kind of build it from there.
Yeah, let the community inform where it goes. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about the original Fringe and how it started.
So after the Second World War, there was interest in Europe to return to a sense of normalcy, and Edinburgh took a lead with the arts by saying we want to do a high-profile, European establishment artists festival. So they put together a headlining festival that was intended to bring Europe together and sort of show a new face. And so they went forward with this without thinking about the artistic community in Scotland, in Edinburgh, that was thriving at the time, especially grassroots, working class.
There was a lot of working class artists, and there were 8 troupes, bigger groups in Edinburgh proper that were excluded and not invited to this event. And so they decided to throw their own festival on the fringes of the actual festival. So they found restaurants, churches, they would pop up in the streets, wherever they could find space, and just did their own shows while the international festival was going on, which is still going on today. They still run concurrently every year.
They had 3,000 productions. They do it over a whole month, but just to show you how valued and how much it is cultivated, the local arts there.
So both the original International Festival and the original Fringe still run concurrently?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so over there they switch the wording. We say Fringe Festival in the U.S., but in the U.K. it's Festival Fringe. But they gather every year, at the same time, same place.
So it's the launch of the first Lancaster Fringe Fest coming in May of 2026. But Caleb and Frith didn't just start planning it. In fact, you have to go back nearly 2 years to the initial meetings when they began to explore the idea. Caleb goes to Creative Works. You establish this relationship. How long have you been preparing for this first festival?
Out from the festival, it would be like over a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Because it started with Caleb and I met a couple times, and we're bouncing back ideas with Creative Works. So I would go to the board, and we weren't sure exactly how we wanted to be involved initially. But personally, I was very interested in the project and willing to kind of serve as the project liaison. And then Caleb and I started putting feelers out and meeting with community members, and then that turned into monthly forums that were much bigger, and we got a lot of different perspectives and used that to build out the model and figure out what the community wanted, what that could look like, what was in our capacity. And then it's just kind of snowballed from there.
It was sort of like discovering itself, So, yeah, Frith and I, we would meet, we would talk about what do we do, sort of like, how do you do this? And then we would start meeting with people. And then that meeting would lead to, of course, you just meet more and more people because everybody is talking. So it's really this gradual stitching together that we've been
Yeah, it's
engaging
really all
in.
of the pieces were here. Like Lancaster had everything it needed to do a Fringe festival. And we're just kind of weaving those threads together.
Well, I think for me that was sort of a an enlightening part of this process is, yeah, we weren't really coming in with we thought we had to have a vision, and so we were like implementing a vision, but it was much more of discovering what this community wants to do, and that I guess the vision now really has become that the power of this artistic community is really what we're doing, just bringing recognition and appreciation, and that is producing the art as opposed to giving just a venue for outlet.
It almost makes me feel like the real vision underneath it has been stewardship and allowing it to kind of do its own thing, because we are in the first year, and I think we've been pretty good about not sticking to a script yet and kind of letting the cycle play out so that we can come back for year 2 and say, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what can we do to sustain this and make sure that it's self-sustaining.
Are you looking for the perfect space for your next meeting, media project, or private event? Well, TCF has you covered. Our conference rooms are perfect for meetings with your team or your clients. Our media studio can accommodate photography, audio, and video production. And our 6th-floor venue has everything you need to throw an unforgettable private party or retreat. Book now at lancastervenue.com and take your next event to the next level. Biggest surprise in this process for you, Frith?
I think that the scope and how big it got so quickly. We at one point, after lots and lots of forums with the community, we had landed on about 12 productions. And now we have 40, and it's growing.
You better have a festival soon, or it's going to be 80 by the time you get there.
But the level of interest and the venue buy-in as well. So many businesses have been so supportive. Yeah, and it's all just.
I think there's a great history in Lancaster of art and found space, especially over the last 15 or 20 years. There was a big boom of that sort of mentality in the late aughts and the early teens when, First Fridays really became a big deal. Mm-hmm. Businesses were just sort of opening their doors and saying, yeah, you can hang art in here. There were art shows in all kinds of different businesses. And so I think that the pandemic era slowed that down. And so there's probably a hunger out there. I know when you came to us at the Candy Factory, it was like, absolutely. Like there was no question that we would participate. It's something that's in the sort of DNA of our organization, and I think that that's true for a lot of these businesses in Lancaster who've established over the last 20 years or so. So that's exciting, yeah. Caleb, biggest surprise for you?
So we did some teaser events to give people, because most people don't know what Fringe is. So we did several events where we sampled Fringe, so different acts. And so I was thinking of it from sort of administrative point of view of, okay, we're trying to raise money also, trying to prove that we can do this. So I was thinking about it on those goals. But then what I didn't realize is what we're actually doing is bringing these artists together who are inspiring and learning from one another about what this process can produce. And that was such a beautiful thing that I don't know why I didn't think of that, but how much the artists need each other and how much they want this kind of community. And really, this is what Fringe is, or this is what art is, you know, we live in this market economy, and so the arts are always pushed into this like success models that are guided by a capitalist thinking. And no, it's just about people wanting to hear each other and feel each other and, appreciate what they have to express. And that's what I could feel happening.
Yeah, and you don't need $1 million budget to do that. You can tell a really compelling story in a found space with very little equipment or accessories.
Why is Fringe important in Lancaster, and why should people attend?
We are in need of stories in a more human way, and sharing stories human to human, and kind of cutting out the middleman of our crystal balls that we carry around in our pockets all the time.
Thanks to Caleb and Frith from the Lancaster Fringe Fest, coming to Lancaster May 21st through May 24th in 2026. Links to their website and more information in the show notes. Hey goodies, we do love hearing from you. Let us know what you think of today's episode, or if you have any fun ideas for upcoming shows. Head over to sogoodlancaster.com and submit your comments. As promised, our So Good music feature today is Good Goes Goodbye from the Lancaster artist Dean Thomas. Your latest release, Good Goes Goodbye, a song I'd like to feature on this episode of the podcast. Grabbed me. I mean, I love this stuff. I'm a big fan of ambient music. I'm a big fan of ethereal music. Shoegaze from my youth in the '90s. So I really appreciate what you're doing. You sort of check a lot of my boxes. So tell me about this song, Good Goes Goodbye.
I wrote it when I was going through a pretty tough time. My uncle passed away, and I was playing a lot of Donkey Kong Country too. And I feel like a lot of the sounds were kind of, on that game. It's like, me and him used to play that game a lot. And I feel like that song's just kind of just about how fast life just slips away from you,
That's great.
And yeah, that's just kind of how that song kind of came to be, and what I was thinking about at the time.
That was Good Goes Goodbye by Dean Thomas. Until we meet again, stay good, Lancaster. Stay good. So Good Lancaster is produced at So Good Media in Lancaster, Pennsylvania by yours truly and Ann Kirby. Follow us online at sogoodlancaster.com and follow us on all of the socials. Have any comments, questions, or want to learn more about how So Good Media can help you with your podcast and media productions? Drop us a line at hello@sogoodmedia.studio.